This is a Gear Network production.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's your boy, Mr. Perez, and you're listening to the Better Live Than Dead podcast, brought to you exclusively on Gear Network. Listen in.
How is it going, everybody out there in a podcast world, in the internet radio land? Better Live Than Dead podcast, episode number 19, with myself, Ryan Wolf, sitting across from me with a brand new, gorgeous chrome microphone, Mr. Perez.
What's going on, peoples? Got the new microphones looking kind of nice. I like it. Appreciate that.
We got to say thank you to, well, first off, say thank you to our one of our sponsors, Amazon, because
thank you, Amazon.
Your boy over here, if I may coin myself, got myself a credit card through Amazon, which I'm going to cancel very shortly. I ended up getting a $48 snowball microphone for $13. Can't pass that deal up. Which is a good time for the cheap blog of Amazon.com. You go to gearnetwork.com / I believe it's / Amazon. And you click on the banner. Or you go on our Facebook page, facebook.com / Gear Network. And we'll have the link there. You click on the page. You shop through Amazon.com. Help out Gear Network. Help out the podcasts. Plus, you get great deals.
Great deals.
Check out the lightning deals. Right now, Amazon's pretty much trying to give stuff away. So go over, check it out. Help out the podcast.
It's the holidays. A lot of things are cheap right now, too.
Oh, dude, it's the 13th of December.
Kind of crazy.
It kind of snuck up on us, that's for sure. It's my dad's birthday today. Happy birthday, Dad.
Happy birthday to your dad.
As many people call him, Emanon Classic.
Emanon Classic?
They call him Emanon Classic,
I saw that today. It kind of made me chuckle.
Well, that's because, obviously, the brother is Eric Emanon. If people out there, sorry for the spoiler alert if you didn't know, but I mean, it's kind of hard to deny that one because we look almost exactly alike.
Right.
But then, I think Tiger Smith started it, Emanon Classic. I can't remember. We'll have to figure it out. But I'm under the impression, Perez, that you have a story to tell me, and if there's anything we love here at the Better Live Than Dead podcast, and I've got some positive feedback on it, we love Perez's story time.
Perez's story time. I'm
going to sit back. I'm going to sip on this hot glass of milk I've got going on over here, and eat some cookies and get comfortable and listen to your story.
Nice. No, listen. You know what? There's a lot of negativity in today's world. There's a lot of bad things that happen, and sometimes it's real easy to lose faith in humanity. But something happened to me today that restored just a little bit of my faith in humanity. I thought it was pretty cool. It started out with a trip to Dunkin' Donuts on the way over here to do the podcast. What?
I was going to say Dunkin' Donuts is amazing. So that right there is a good start to the day.
Gotcha. Yeah, well...
Hey, maybe if we keep cheap plugging them, they'll give us free Dunkin' Donuts.
No doubt. That'd be cool with that. I'd be great with that. But, so I get in line, and I'm in a drive-thru, and there's a black Kia ahead of me, a lady driving it, and she pulls up to the window, and I pull up to the window after I put my order in, and I'm right behind her. And then I proceed to sit there for 20 minutes. I counted it. 20 minutes, because I was thinking to myself, what the bloody blue hell is going on? Why are we sitting here for 20 minutes? So she finally leaves, and I pull up, and the lady who was in the drive-thru window says, sorry about that. And I was like, yeah, no big deal. It was kind of annoying, but no big deal. What was that all about? She said, well, the lady insisted on paying for everybody that's currently in the Dunkin' Donuts. And they were really busy.
Oh, man.
She said she wanted everyone to put in their orders, and then we would fill them out, and she would pay for everybody's order. And then she paid for yours. I was like, really? That is awfully nice of that lady.
That is amazing.
Yeah, it really is. So then I didn't really feel all that bad about sitting there for 20 minutes. I felt kind of bad for being annoyed that I sat there for 20 minutes, you know. But that was really nice of the lady. She may never listen to this podcast, but I just want to say thank you to that lady for paying for literally everybody that was in Dunkin' Donuts that morning and paying for me.
That's amazing.
Yeah, that is pretty cool.
When people pay it forward whenever you get the opportunity to,
right?
It's a phenomenal thing to do.
Yeah.
It's a good feeling. It's a good feeling, but it's even better because when someone's not expecting it,
right? And you're completely not expecting it.
Yeah, and it just shows up and it just happens. You're like, wow, that really is
right. And then, of course, I didn't want to be the one who stopped that chain, so I paid for the person behind me. No big deal to me.
Yeah.
But that was really nice of that lady. I really
well, it could make a there could be someone out there that's having an absolutely shitty day,
right?
And you go, you know what? Their order's $10. I'll pay for it,
right?
And you could change someone's day completely.
Exactly, and it restored just a little bit more of my faith in humanity.
And some people may be scared by you, Perez, but I'll tell you what, you're a big teddy bear. You're a nice guy, so. Whatever puts a smile, whatever you can do to put a smile on someone's face. I don't want to ruin your street cred, okay?
No,
but
it's all good, man. It's all good. So that was pretty cool. So when I see people, I go on Facebook. Well, I don't go on Facebook very much anymore, but I was on Facebook just the other day, and someone was complaining about some crap that happened, and they were like, I want off this planet. They get off this planet. You don't want to be here, don't be here. I don't ever condone suicide, but catch yourself like a $20 million space shuttle ride to the space station or something. There's a lot of good, positive things that happen on this planet, and if you want to complain, instead of complaining, go do something about it to make this planet better.
It's not that hard to be happy.
No, and this was just one of those little things where that person probably touched. They touched a lot of people because there was probably 15 people in line inside.
That's amazing,
and she paid for all of them. That's awesome. Thank you, lady.
And that's got to be something that she doesn't. Like you said, it does a big deal for her, but for it's when they say the holiday season is always about giving.
Right.
That's what they mean. I mean, I'm not one that'll sit there and say, what are you going to get me for Christmas? But I'll be the first one to ask you what you want, and I'll go get for you. I would like to see if you're an easygoing dude.
Yeah, me too.
Exactly.
I'm real relaxed.
I want to start. Thank you for that story, by the way. It was actually a really good story. I want to start off the podcast today by just mentioning the National Hockey League. They okayed a Las Vegas ticket drive to test market interest. Now, here's the thing. They didn't talk about it at the Board of Governors meeting. They were just like Gary Bettman talked, and we all know Las Vegas is high on the list for expansion franchises. Now, he just flat out said, he didn't say we talked about it, he just said, we told Las Vegas, the guy who wants to be the owner of the franchise, if they get one, you can do a ticket drive. Essentially what it'll be, because we know, that the casinos will wrap up a ton of tickets.
Oh, absolutely.
They're building a 20,000 seat. It's the MGM, known as the Las Vegas Arena, also known at one point in time the MGM AEG Arena, which is who's building it. Now, the thing about it is they want to see how many fans will commit to season tickets for 3 to 5 years or something like that. Whatever they decide to do. Because if they, like for instance, with Winnipeg, when they wanted to put a team in, when they want to put the Thrashers in Winnipeg did a ticket drive and said, we can sell out the building for 5 years, guaranteed off the bat. Wow. Without ever seeing the team play on the ice. We'll sell it out for 5 years. And they did. And it's become one of the hardest tickets in the National Hockey League to get. Now, Before we move on, because again, this is just it's just a kind of something to point out, to keep an eye on. It's something that may happen, I think, around February or March, and we'll know a little more about if Las Vegas will end up getting an expansion franchise. But it's more or less seeming like Las Vegas. I'm sorry, Las Vegas and Seattle will get expansion franchises to keep the league at an even number. But they want to have 31 teams. They want to have 32 teams if they're going to expand. So Seattle and Las Vegas would get expansion franchises. And then Canada is trying to get a team in Quebec City. So either Arizona moves, or they're both not doing too well right now financially because hockey's not very viable in their markets, unfortunately. But coming down to it, I think the team ends up in Vegas because, like I said before, they'll get season ticket holders, and then the casinos will just buy up the rest of the tickets and then give them away or sell them themselves or whatever they decide to do. But
I like the contrasting image that portrays. Ice hockey in the desert. I dig it.
They actually want to play an outdoor game in Las Vegas sometime.
That'd be awesome.
They did it back, I want to say, in 97 or 98. Long time ago, that outdoor hockey game, and it was interesting. I mean, they could do it now with the technology they have, but moving on. The other thing I want to speak about in this introduction is the Heisman Trophy Now, we're recording this podcast on Saturday, so by the time you hear this podcast, you'll probably already know who won the Heisman Trophy. But for those who don't know, Marcus Mariota.
Before we get there, let's go back to the hockey real quick. Did you see Sidney Crosby's face the other day?
He's got the mumps, man.
My man looks lumped up.
Well, the mumps. There's a mumps epidemic in the National Hockey League. It's going around.
Stop kissing each other or something.
I'll tell you what, they've had to bring EC in to disinfect the locker rooms, and players are not allowed to see other players because if you are any at all infected, you can be spread by any sort of bodily fluid.
Man, those hockey players must be some nasty peoples.
I'll tell you what, you ever been in a National Hockey League locker room?
No, I've not.
It is. I can see how you can get an illness, and it's not even.
I grew up in locker rooms. I played 4 sports a year in high school, so I know how nasty locker room.
And they're not even that bad, but it's it just could be a guy sweats, and you somehow touch it or whatever, right, and then you get infected, and it's so easy. I mean, you see how fast if when a hockey locker room, someone in the locker room gets a cold.
Right.
They bar that guy from being on the team for weeks until he's healthy, because one guy gets sick and then a week later the entire team is sick. That's how it works out.
Yeah.
But
all right, sorry about that.
It's okay. The mumps epidemic is something we can speak about. Maybe we'll get a doctor on here one of these days.
That's what used to drive me crazy about working in call centers. Is one person would get sick, next thing you know, like half the call center is sick.
It's absolutely ridiculous.
It is.
But speaking about the Heisman Trophy, quarterback Marcus Mariota, the favorite to win it from Oregon. There's wide receiver Amari Cooper from Alabama and running back Melvin Gordon from Wisconsin. Perez, is this a done deal with Mariota?
Everyone's saying that they pretty much think it is, but frankly, I think that wide receiver has an outside chance. He's had an awesome season.
And he's going to be fun to watch in the National Football League.
He is, but at the same token, a wide receiver hasn't won the Heisman Trophy in forever. So,
and I think running back, I believe I saw it last night. It was something like since 2001.
Yes,
turn of the century, that a running back with over 2,000 yards has not won the Heisman.
No.
So I'm thinking it's looking kind of set up like Mariota's going to win.
Probably.
He'll probably also be the first overall pick.
Yes.
But the interesting thing about it this year is that we haven't heard much about it. It hasn't been hyped up as usual.
No, it's usually really hyped up. But you have a bunch of players who are really good. But there's a lot more parity in college football right now. Like before, you'd have players that were running for the Heisman who were just running away with everything. And right now, you got a bunch of people who realistically could be lumped into the Heisman race.
Well, it almost seems too like and rightfully so, they care more about the playoff than do the Heisman, which is unfortunate. But if it was a closer race, I think the reason we don't hear about it, and we'll find out obviously when the vote totals come out, I feel like the reason it won't be hyped up as much as usual is. Excuse me, because I don't think the vote's going to be anywhere near being a race. It's going to be Cooper and Gordon.
Right.
Got the invite to New York City because they're really good. They're very talented players. Are going to do good in the NFL. Here's a free trip to New York.
Who doesn't want a free trip to New York City?
Exactly.
So yeah, I think Mariota's going to get it.
I want to transition over now.
Okay.
If you heard Get Ready America this week, our good friends of the podcast, executive producers of the Better Live Than Dead podcast, I guess, because we haven't never spoke about that, but I'm just going to say it. John and Dawn, executive producers of the Better Live Than Dead podcast, brought up an interesting point. They really enjoy your story time, Perez, and as we saw in the start of this segment, you're pretty good at telling stories. You've got a ton of stories to tell. Now, I was instructed because
I have a bad feeling about where it's going.
Because I don't know, you probably should. I don't know. We'll find out in a second. But
see, like here's the thing.
Okay.
No, go ahead.
No, you say first.
Go ahead.
I'm going to take a sip of my beverage.
No, they brought up. Go ahead. They brought up what?
They want me to ask you, and these are the exact 4 words they said to me. Dawn and John.
So John wants you to ask me what?
They want me to ask you about the Britney Spears Orlando story.
That's it? You want to know about the Britney Spears Orlando story?
That's what they told me to ask. Is there something worse I should be asking you about? Because you seem very relieved right now.
Oh, man.
You know what you just did, Perez. You just opened Pandora's box, because John's going to hear this podcast. He's going to sit down, and he's going to think of the most fucked story he possibly can, and he's going to tell me to ask you on the air and put you on the spot so you feel terrible.
Listen, well, you said that.
Well, I don't want to give it away, because if I sit here and say, Perez, I want you to tell me about the story before we get on the air, you know what's going to happen. You're going to think about it, and you're going to be like, okay, this is how I'm going to tell it.
Right. No, but you just, like you said, John and Dawn on the podcast wanted you to ask me about the Britney Spears Orlando story. Like, you know, when you say something to me like, you know, John's a little nervous. But then when you say John and Dawn want you to tell the story, I get real nervous. You know? So, because there's a possibility that story might be really messed up. But quite frankly, the Britney Spears story really is not that big of a deal.
I'm waiting.
So okay, so you want me to tell it now? You want to go to break? You want me to tell it after break?
You could whatever. I mean,
all right. So when I lived in Orlando, I hung out with this guy. We worked for ADT security, and we would go house to house and try to sell them ADT security. See, now, if you wanted a really interesting story, I should tell you about that. Because, quite frankly, the Britney Spears story is not that interesting, but I'll tell it to you.
Well, how about, you know what I'm going to do after, and sorry to interrupt you, Perez, but I do think, for at least the time being, because I like the setup that John and Dawn have on Get Ready America, where they kind of they'll have a serious conversation about something, and then they'll kind of have some fun with it.
Right.
I think we should do this from now on.
Okay.
I'll make a cool theme song for you, and we'll have a segment. I don't care if the podcast goes an hour and a half.
Okay.
People will listen because I'll tell you what, I got some good reviews about your story last week because you can tell a story. But please continue.
All right. So the kid that I worked with, who I rode with a lot, he had been in a boy band, and they were actually pretty popular overseas. They didn't do well in America, but they made a ton of money overseas, and he was taking a break from the boy band because they were suing his production company for money that they were supposed to pay them and never did. Okay. He ended up winning. There was 5 of them, and they ended up having to pay them all $25 million, so everyone split $5 million, which is not a bad little payday.
That's a tough gig.
Right. So we're driving around one day, and he says, he's on his phone, and he gets a phone call, and he's like, "Oh, you're in town? That's pretty cool. Where are you at? I can come see you." And he's talking, and I'm driving. He's having a great conversation with this person, just going on and on. And he was like, "All right, Brittany, love you. See you in a little bit. I'm gonna probably bring a friend with me." So so he hangs up, and I was like, "Who's that?" And the guy goes, "Oh, that was Britney Spears." And I was like, come on, get out of here. And she was, at that time, she was just getting big. Like she had just released, like, "Hit Me One More Time," the school dance, like the dance in the school, schoolgirl outfit was looking hot. So I was like, right, Britney Spears, sure. And he was like, "No, really, that was Britney Spears." So I was like, come on, dude, like, I used to do private bodyguard work.
Yeah.
I've met a lot of famous people, but I was like, yeah, Britney Spears. But then, like, in hindsight's 2020, like, he had been in a boy band. Like, he was known in the circle, so him knowing Britney Spears really wasn't out of the realm of possibility. Yeah. Now that I, think back on it. I was like, for real, we'll go to the hotel. We'll meet her. So I was like, all right, sure. So we go to the hotel where she's staying, and we walk in. This big black dude was like, "Hey, what's up?" And comes over, gives the guy house with a hug. And he was like, "Oh, she's working out." So we walk over to the gym, and we go walking in, and sure enough, it's freaking Britney Spears. She's like working out. She's like gives him a hug, and he introduces her to me. And like, it was cool, like, to meet her. I'll be honest with you, she's pretty good.
Yeah.
But here's my problem. Like, she was working out, like, on a treadmill and stuff, but she still had makeup on. Like, her hair was all done up. She had makeup on. Like, she was getting ready to, like, go on stage or something. It was really weird.
That is pretty awkward.
Yeah. I was like, why are you working out in makeup? But I mean, that's the story. I don't know what John and Dawn thought, because I've never, like, embellished that story.
No, it's a good story.
That's what happened. Like, I met Britney Spears. It was pretty cool.
That is pretty cool.
She was hot.
I guess I guess now if we have the story segment, though, you know what's going to happen.
I kind of wanted to flirt with her a little bit. But,
you should have.
I should have. Hey, what's up, Brittany? How you doing?
What's going on?
You want to hit me one more time? Like, what's up?
Just hope your wife doesn't listen to this podcast.
She can. I wasn't with her at that time. It's all good. My wife knows how I was when I was younger. See, that's the amazing thing about my wife.
She's awesome?
Is that, well, yeah, she is awesome.
Okay.
But she knows what I was like when I was a younger guy, and she still was like, all right, you'll be all right to hook up with. Yeah. That's my wife. Crazy.
Edit that part out.
Oh, you keep it in there. She married me. She's got to be crazy.
Well. Hey, you said it, not me, man.
I completely understand.
But now we've got this segment going. I mean, this is the longest intro we've ever had in the history of the Better Life Than Dead podcast. At 20 minutes, right now we're at 20 minutes, which no big deal.
No.
But
yeah, man, that's the story. I don't know.
I think now that John knows that we're going to do this, I'm sure he'll shoot me a text here or there and be like, hey, he'll just say ask Perez about this on this episode.
Like I said, ask me about what I used to do for ADT. Like I can tell you some stories about how we used to get sales.
Okay,
it was kind of crazy.
I'm interested. I'll have to write that down for next week. We'll get that story. We'll get you a cool little introduction song made, even if we'll make it work.
You know, if by chance Britney Spears ever hears this somehow, I would like her to send us over, like tweet us, and let me know why you were working out in makeup.
Maybe we could tweet her, right? Ask her like, why you work out in makeup, man?
I mean, she met me for 15 minutes. I'm not going to remember me.
I don't know, but you ask her the question, and she may answer.
Yeah, I mean, you were working out makeup. It could have been good for your skin.
Wow.
So yeah, that's the story. I was expecting, dude. There's so many stories. I was expecting something like way out in left field.
From judging from our past conversations on other podcasts, as I mentioned on Get Ready America. I'll say, by the way, so don't get me judging by things that we said on past podcasts. They said Orlando. I said, "Oh Jesus Christ, here we go."
Oh, I got some stories from Orlando, man.
Yeah, I've heard some of them.
I mean, maybe they mixed up some of my stories with other stuff. I don't know, but
hey, like I said,
when you said the Britney Spears story, I was relieved.
Yeah, I saw the weight off your shoulders. I could visibly see it leave your shoulders. So we're gonna shoot to commercial break right now. When we get back, we're gonna talk Major League Baseball. We've got some big news that just happened within the last week. Going to have quite a big segment on baseball, so stick around for more of the Better Live Than Dead podcast.
While you're listening to this podcast, make sure you follow us on social media. You can follow me at WolfSHC on Twitter. You can also follow Mr. Perez at MRLG Perez. Make sure to like the podcast on Facebook. That's facebook.com/BLTD Podcast. And make sure to follow Gear Network on Twitter at GERE Network.
Hey gang, the first round of your fantasy playoffs are over, and if you're like me, you had Peyton Manning, and he screwed you, and your brother-in-law beat you, and now you're in a consolation round, and you don't really care. Well, I'll give you something that you can care about, and that is GearNetwork.com's partnership with FanDuel. Visit GearNetwork.com/FanDuel, or click on the link on the top of the page, and scroll down and select FanDuel, and access it through there. You could be entered into 1-week fantasy football leagues. There's still a regular season going on, so go on and get in on that money, honey, because if you're like me, you lost some money in your regular standard league, which sucks. But what doesn't suck is the opportunity to win cash money every week. And fast, too. They don't screw you like PayPal and eBay do. Again, GearNetwork.com/FanDuel. Do it.
Washington, I'm talking baseball. Klazuski, Campanella, talking baseball. The man and Bobby Feller, the Scooter, the Barber, and the Duke. They know them all from Boston to Dubuque, especially Willie, Mickey, and the Duke.
And we are back here on the Better Live Than Dead podcast. We went to commercial break. Perez and I talked off the air, and
I gotta be honest with you.
Made mention of Diddy, Sean Combs, Puff Daddy, whatever the hell his name is now. And Perez, you said you have some strong feelings. I brought up that punch Drake or smack Drake in the face or whatever because someone took something from someone and he got mad about it. And
right, you were saying that he punched Drake in the face because
apparently someone bought a beat from a DJ or whatever the hell it is. I get it off.
Okay,
someone bought from the track from the guy. And then Drake and Diddy were supposed to make the song. Diddy shuffled his feet. Drake said, screw it. Went and made the song himself with his own words that he wrote and got nominated for a Grammy. And
Drake's at this point a much better artist than Diddy. Diddy's pretty, irrelevant at this point.
Drake, to me, will always be Wheelchair Jimmy.
Yeah, well, that's
always.
But, I think it's funny that Diddy punch Drake in the face because he took a beat. When, if you look at how Diddy got famous with Biggie Smalls, Biggie Smalls' first album was nothing but stolen Tupac music. So how you going to get mad so many years later that someone stole a beat when you stole a whole album?
I'm sure there was a lot more to it, but on the surface, it didn't sound very good.
No, I'm sure there was more to it too. Like Pac slept with Biggie's wife. I mean, that probably was not the best thing.
By the way,
do.
if I'm sure I know you can at this out there wants really good old school rap. I guess now it's old school now because I mean it's 25 years ago. Listen to Tupac and Biggie. That's good stuff.
Well, Tupac, yes.
Well, there's some good Biggie. I like Tupac a lot.
Okay.
I like Tupac a lot.
Yeah, to me, Tupac might be the greatest rappers of all time, right behind Slick Rick, the Root. But yeah, I mean, I've never been a fan of Biggie.
The East Coast West man. I was a child. I was 2 or 3 of them.
I'm a lot older than you.
You're a lot older than me. It's okay. We're here now. It's all that matters, right?
That's true.
Talk Major League Baseball now.
Sports.
Back to sports.
By the way, I'm still flabbergasted over the Britney Spears story. Like,
I'll tell you what.
One of my more mundane stories.
I'm thinking about it now, and we're going to do a podcast here in 2 weeks with the Get Ready America with Dawn. I'm thinking about it now because we're going to record Better Live Than Dead that morning, and then that afternoon we're going to go record the Christmas end of the year podcast. I would be surprised right now that podcast is less than an hour and a half long.
Oh,
because
get ready, people.
Questions, sports,
yes,
music, what we want to talk about. This is the best part. This is why we tell you, start a podcast. Come on, Come on and join us. Have fun. Talk about whatever you want to talk about.
Right.
Because we can talk about whatever we want to talk about.
Exactly.
Like right now, for instance, we're going to talk about the Tampa Bay Rays.
Tampa Bay. Possibly moving, right?
Yeah. Tampa Bay, St. Petersburg. The Tampa Bay Rays in St. Petersburg came to an agreement that's going to be voted on, I believe, on next Tuesday. That would allow Tampa Bay to search for a new stadium site in 2 counties. I believe it's in those counties. Now, the county itself has kind of shuffled its feet on finding a new stadium for Tampa.
Right.
Excuse me. And we all know the Tropicana Field is not a viable stadium for anybody at this point.
Not anymore.
Excuse me. Now, the interesting thing about it is that...
Now, I into that field. Excuse me, sorry. And in the hay, not bad.
Well, the problem is the catwalks. So the catwalks are bad, and the fans don't want to go there because it's not a dump, but it's just not fan friendly for baseball or baseball friendly for baseball.
Right.
Now, if the team can't get a stadium deal, and this is a direct quote from the owner of the Tampa Bay Rays, he says, "quote My chances of owning this team in 2023 are probably nil." Well, and I believe 2023 is when the team can move because he said flat out, if we can't get a stadium in Tampa or in the surrounding areas. If we get a stadium, we're staying, obviously. But if we can't get a stadium, I'm selling the team to someone else, and they're going to move it. And I guarantee you,
which would be crazy.
I'll put money on it now. If Tampa does not get a stadium, someone from Montreal will buy the Rays, and they'll move the Rays to Montreal.
Think so?
Absolutely.
Have 2 Canadian baseball teams?
They want to go back to Montreal.
Okay.
Montreal got a raw deal when they moved the Nationals because the problem with Montreal is that the same thing with Tampa Bay. Montreal would not build a stadium. Right. Because no one at the time wanted to build the stadium because the Expos were terrible.
Right.
So
the Nationals.
They sold the Expos, and the Expos became the Nationals, and the Nationals ended up getting Strasburg and Harper and all those guys. If you had Strasburg and Harper in Montreal, they'd be huge. Yeah. And I don't like the Rays or East.
I'd be down with the Expos.
But I would very thrilled to have Toronto, Boston, and Baltimore in the East because that's a true American League East.
No doubt.
And that would be a lot of fun. Because Olympic Stadium with turf and concrete floor was eating up players. Andre Dawson.
That's the old school turf. That stuff was horrible for people's knees.
And then it's concrete. So
but most turf is like
it's eating up people's
knees.
The thing about this is I think because I saw X amount per year for X amount of years to get out of the league, it'll work out for him. But I'm just sick and tired of hearing about it because I don't really like Tampa as Perez and I do, but we don't like the Rays very much.
No, I don't really have any feelings about the Rays either way.
And I would honestly
I like them more than the Boston Red Sox.
I'm gonna smack in the face. Son of a bitch. It's a good time, Bob. Over to the hot stove now. Just gritting my teeth over here. I'll tell you what, I pay a lot of attention to off-season ball. I pay attention to sports in my life, but I'll tell you what, I cannot remember a time when the hot stove, as they call it, is hot.
Right.
I mean, this week, once John Lester signed with the Chicago, we'll talk about it in a second.
Yeah, how do you feel about that?
Talk about it in a second.
All right.
When that happened, it was almost as if multiple teams had multiple deals and trades ready to go.
Right.
They just waited for this to happen because once that happens, then this might change or that might change, or we can offer less or we have to offer more or whatever. So we're going to start off right at the top. First off, the Chicago White Sox signed New York Yankees ex-closer David Robertson.
I'm a little upset about that.
4 years, $46 million. Well, the thing
I can't blame him. It's awesome money.
Well, yeah, the Yankees didn't want to pay that amount of money for him, for a guy who's unproven, if you will. But I mean, he had, he's not been bad.
No, he throws fire.
Yeah.
You develop that dude. He's going to be unhittable as a closer.
Well, that's why the Yankees, I think, walked, is because Dellin Betances, like we talked about, Betances and Miller, they're going.
Yeah, but you know what? If you look at it from the Yankees aspect, if I was a member of the Yankees, I should say, you got Dellin Betances, and then you got Robinson. They both throw fire. You have one as the setup man, one as the closer. Two right there where you could be virtually untouchable.
Exactly. Well, that's how you win championships, too. Like with the Red Sox, for instance. I know you hate when I talk about the Red Sox, but they won 3 titles in the past 10 years, and you look at how they did it.
Right.
You look at the bullpen. If you can make a game 6 innings long,
right,
you're more likely going to go very far.
Exactly.
Like we've said this before, I know, because I have a deja vu moment.
Yeah.
It's exactly what Kansas City did last year. Yeah. And if there's anything Major League Baseball is, copycat league.
Right.
So you're going to see a lot of teams this offseason try to load up on bullpen arms that are good so they can shut the game down. Yeah. And then next year when someone wins the World Series or goes far that they're not supposed to go far, how do they do it? Let's copy them. Let's do it now.
Absolutely. And the Yankees had a couple closers or setups, man, that all throw very similarly. And if they had kept them all next year, if they got some good starting pitching, they'd be a dangerous squad.
Well, and I hate to say this, but I think the Yankees are going to be just fine with Miller and with Betances. I think Betances will probably struggle a little because he's not been a closer. Same with Miller. He's not been a closer.
Right.
I think he's only had one career save.
Yeah.
But
he's another one.
He's got a great slider.
Cannon.
He's got a great slider. It's almost impossible for left-handed hitters to hit his slider. So it'll be interesting to see how that works out. But the White Sox also acquired Jeff Samardzija. Now, the interesting thing about that is he's got 1 year left in his deal, and he said there's no chance he's re-signing before he hits free agency.
Right.
But, if you remember correctly, Samardzija went to college at Notre Dame, grew up a Chicago White Sox fan, pitched for the Cubs.
Notre Dame sucks.
Notre Dame does suck, John. John Cimino, Notre Dame sucks. Notre Dame sucks. Notre Dame sucks. Notre Dame sucks. But anyways, Jeff Samardzija you know what the crazy part about that guy, and this is something fun we can look at some point in time.
Other than he went to Notre Dame,
is that he was going to be a first round pick.
Yes.
In the National Football League draft, and said, "Nope, I'm going to baseball," and busted his ass and made it work.
Right.
It's crazy.
Well, yeah. He's good.
He's good. He's a fiery guy. He can dominate. I mean, his record's not that good, but when you're throwing a mid 3 ERA or a mid to low 3 ERA, but your team's only scoring 2 or 3 runs a game, record's not going to be that good.
No. They need to get some bats to score some.
Well, they picked up Adam LaRoche. They have Jose Abreu.
I forgot they picked up Adam LaRoche.
I think that they're going to make a big move up a Central this year.
Yeah.
Detroit, and we'll talk about Detroit in a second. I forgot to write it down, but we'll talk about Detroit shortly in a little bit. But Detroit's done a little to get better, but I think the White Sox have made a big push towards being good again because, I mean, they've got Chris Sale and Jeff Samardzija at the top of that rotation. The back end, they've got David Robertson.
Right.
They've got, like I said, Jose Abreu and Adam LaRoche. I think they're going to be just fine. But
yeah, they'll be fine.
Moving over to the Chicago,
they'll once again be the better team in Chicago.
Well, moving over to Chicago Cubs now, it's a good transition. I'm sorry if I felt like that. I rushed that. I'm just trying to. There's a lot of baseball news to discuss.
There's been a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah. The
Chicago's been real active.
The Chicago Cubs, who notably a couple weeks ago lost out on Russell Martin,
yes,
acquired catcher Miguel Montero from the Arizona Diamondbacks, and then they signed John Lester from the Boston Red Sox and Oakland Athletics. Now, I'm just going to clear the air right now. Obviously, I'm disappointed the Boston Red Sox did not re-sign John Lester, but here's the deal.
But at least he didn't go to the Yankees.
Well, yeah, but here's the deal. It'll be with a vesting option. It's a 7-year, $170 million contract. The Red Sox offered $6 and $135. They were comfortable going $6 and $135. They know as much, if not more, than anybody in the National Football League, in the Major League Baseball, about John Lester.
Right.
because they had him for over 10 years in the organization.
Right.
If they were only comfortable going 6-1-35, that's fine with me. They tried. They did blow it.
6-1-35 is good, buddy. Though.
They blew it because offered $650 for 110 in spring training and would have had him signed.
Right.
For pennies compared to what he got now. But they offered him $470. The agent said no, and they walked.
Right.
And they said we'll talk to you after the season, and then he didn't because they traded him, and
exactly.
That's that. But the Red Sox they made some smart moves, and we'll talk about that in a minute because we're getting down the list. But the Marlins acquired D. Gordon and Matt Latos to get a little better. They're going to get a lot better. I mean, they've got kids getting older. Giancarlo Stanton. They're making a run for it.
Right.
There's a lot of rumors going around that they may be interested in acquiring Justin Morneau to play first base.
Okay, that'd be good for Justin.
Jose Fernandez will be back this year from Tommy John surgery. They've got a boatload of young pitching.
Yeah.
They also acquired Dan Herron in the deal, in the D. Gordon deal, but it does look like that Dan Herron will probably retire. He said if he doesn't get traded, if he doesn't pitch in Los Angeles or for the Dodgers or the Angels, he's going to retire.
Oh, brother.
Well, he's in his old age in his career. Right, I think he's 36 or 37, maybe around that age. But
you would think you would just be happy to get yourself a contract.
Well, if he's supposed to make $10 million this year,
right?
And if he wants to walk from $10 million because he wants to pitch in the West Coast, more power to him. Seriously.
Still, the $10 million is $10 million.
It is what it is, man. Speaking of the Dodgers, they have been the most aggressive team this past week. Now, the thing about it is their president of baseball operations is the old Tampa Bay Ray general manager, Andrew Friedman. Smart guy. Their general manager, I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but he's also a very smart guy. They've got a lot of good analytical baseball people.
Right.
Now, what they were bad at last year was defensive runs saved. They were a big negative.
Yes.
Now, they've improved that a lot in this past week. They acquired Jimmy Rollins from the Philadelphia Phillies. His numbers aren't as great as they used to be, but he's still
a solid pickup.
A solid pickup. When they traded D. Gordon to the Marlins, they acquired Andrew Heaney, I believe is his name, or Haney. I'm sorry if I pronounce it incorrectly.
I think it's
Heaney. They traded him to the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim for their second baseman Howie Kendrick.
Oh, that's
which
nice
is
pickup too.
Which is a very nice pickup.
Yeah.
And then Brandon McCarthy.
Okay.
A $48 million deal, ex-Yankee,
right.
Ex-Diamondback.
Right.
The guy who fractured his skull a couple seasons ago with the Athletics.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, but he's a funny guy on Twitter. Decent. He's a good pitcher too. I mean, he's a very good pitcher.
Yeah, those are all solid pickups.
So essentially, they turned D. Gordon into Howie Kendrick and Jimmy Rollins.
I've always liked the Dodgers.
They got Brandon McCarthy, and then they traded Matt Kemp to the Padres.
Yeah.
Now, the thing about Kemp is he's $7 million on his contract. Plus, he's really bad with the defensive run saved. I think in his career something like a minus 87 defensive run saved. So it'll help the Padres out. It'll help the Dodgers. They clear some cap space, clear some payroll, I should say.
Right.
And they're going to get better. They're making a run for it because they realize real quick you can't throw money at the problem if you don't have the right fit. Now now Friedman is a smart guy. Like I said, their GM's a smart guy. They all have that availability of cash and influx of the money and the players to trade and make moves. So it could work out for them. We'll find out. Moving on to the Boston Red Sox now. When speaking about Lester, there was, I think, it was like a $23 or $24 million a season, maybe up to 28 per season, depending on what season it was. But the Red Sox acquired pitcher Wade Miley from the Arizona Diamondbacks. They picked up Rick Porcello from the Tigers and signed Justin Masterson.
Right.
Those three guys alone make just around what John Lester would make in a season, so it's a smart move. They don't have an ace yet. They're going to get an ace.
Yes.
They're unsure about Cole Hamels wanting to pitch in the American League at Fenway Park. And from what Peter Gammon said just a couple days ago, the straw poll, if you will, from the winter meetings was that James Shields is most likely going to end up in San Francisco.
Okay.
The Giants missed out on Lester. The Giants lost Pablo Sandoval to the Red Sox.
Yes.
It sounds like they're going to go all in and try to pick up James Shields.
Right.
So when it comes to the Boston Red Sox, Wade Miley is a high ceiling type of guy. They traded a couple ex prospects, Alan Webster, Ruby De La Rosa, and another minor leaguer for Wade Miley.
Boston's been making some moves.
De La Rosa was he has the ceiling to be a 3 or maybe a 3 or 4, but the problem is he can't get that secondary pitch down.
Right.
And he has trouble commanding his fastball for strikes. but he throws fire.
Yeah.
So he'll probably end up being a reliever. And then Alan Webster, no one really knows what he's doing. He can be a top-end starter. He was supposed to be a top-end starter, but came to the major leagues and just was walking everybody. So they essentially turned 2 fringe prospects into a number 5 starter who can be a 3 if he develops correctly. With Rick Porcello, they traded Yoenis Cespedes to the Tigers. The Tigers also, I should say, acquired Alfredo Simon from the Reds. They got a little better. They got a lot better, I should say, because Simone for Porcello, and then Cespedes to the outfield to replace Torrey Hunter. But Rick Porcello for the Red Sox, I think, will be a very, very, very big move because you don't know what you're going to get from Clay Buchholz. You don't know what you're going to get from Joe Kelly.
Right.
I mean, Justin Masterson will probably be middle of the rotation guy. He had a bum knee last year, which led to a lot of his problems. Like if you watch, I was watching tape on the internet. 2012, he's pushing off very heavily with that right knee. And he was getting that extra pop on his fastball last year. He wasn't able to because his knee was screwed up.
Yeah, that's true.
So now he's getting that extra push off the fastball, and
that'll help him quite a bit.
It'll help him out, hopefully. But it's been a absolutely nuts week. I mean, the winter meetings are over now, but once the winter meetings happen, things kind of open up.
The most active team so far this offseason has been, in my opinion, obviously L.A. They went crazy this week.
Like we always say, you don't win championships in December, but Los Angeles is doing a pretty damn good job.
And Boston. Boston's been real active, too.
They had to be.
Yeah.
I mean, after last year's debacle of Clay Buchholz just forgetting how to pitch and the lineup not being great and just guys not developing, I mean...
Now, if only my team would do something.
Well, we might have to wait for that one, but...
Yeah.
That's been our baseball segment. Going to kind of cut it just a little short. I mean...
Adios.
At this point, it is what it is with baseball. We're moving closer to spring every week. Spring training moves 1 week closer, so we'll be back certainly next week with more baseball talk because I'm sure things aren't just going to calm down. Everything's going to get just a little more crazier in the next week. So stick around for more of the Better Live Than Dead podcast. When we get back, we'll talk some National Football League. Adrian Peterson's appeal is in. Johnny Manziel news also from Cleveland, and our picks sponsored by FanDuel right after these commercial breaks.
John Cimino here, a.k.a. JC Money, inviting you all of you listeners, to join us on the Gear Radio Network once a week for Get Ready America, where JC and DC, the executive producer, my co-host Don Cimino, will be talking news, sports, whatever comes to our mind. It's a variety show that goes all over the place. It's awesome. You should check it out on Gear Network every week.
This free and independent sportscast is made possible when you shop the Gear Network store through Amazon. Visit GearNetwork.com and click on the Amazon banner to shop through Amazon's thousands of products at great prices delivered right to your front door. Again, that's GearNetwork.com and click the Amazon banner at the top.
Hello. Back from commercial break here on the Better Live Than Dead podcast.
Hola.
Going to transition over to the National Football League now. Some interesting stories coming across the board. First off, Adrian Peterson, shockingly, and I say that dripping with sarcasm, shockingly, Adrian Peterson's appeal to be reinstated was denied by a man who previously worked for the National Football League. Supposedly he got a fair shot at appeal, but he didn't. I don't think, at least, but I'm not for the tin hat or the tinfoil hat conspiracy theories over here. But anyways, Peterson can apply for reinstatement in April 2015. He loses 6 game checks, the last 3 of this year, the first 3 of next year. Perez, what are your thoughts on Adrian Peterson's appeal being denied just a couple days ago?
I think it's ridiculous. I think it's stupid. I don't think that he's given a fair shake. I mean, there's been a guy who knocked his wife out who's already been reinstated, and he served less time than AP did for spanking his child. I think it's stupid. I think it's ridiculous. I think that's what I think.
Well, hang on, I'm waiting for this page to load, but you mentioned Adrian Peterson and Ray Rice in the same breath. I'm scrolling down here, And here is an exact quote from Mr. Peterson himself. Quote.
Yeah, he did Richard Rice.
Excuse me. Quote. Sorry.
That's all good. He did throw Rice out there.
Quote. I have nothing but love for Ray Rice. I'm happy he has the chance to play, Peterson said. But it's like, how did Ray Rice get instated before me? A team has a chance to pick him up, but I don't have the opportunity to come back until April? The man is salty, for sure. But he's got the right to be salty. The only reason Ray Rice got off and came back was because, oh, that's right, the National Football League Commissioner, Roger Goodell, was caught lying.
Yes.
On multiple occasions.
Uh-huh.
Perfect example. Ray Rice told Roger Goodell, I punched my girl in the face. She hit her head on the railing in the elevator and got knocked out.
Yes.
How did Goodell tell us that it happened? She fell and knocked herself out.
Yes.
That's a bunch of bullshit.
Yeah, Goodell, this is obviously the most trying season that Rodgers had to go through.
And it's one of those seasons that's gonna make or break. Not necessarily, it's not gonna cost him his job, but when bad stuff happens, and sorry to interrupt you, Perez, but when bad stuff happens,
that's what we do here.
Yeah, no, but I for some reason I'm a very nice person.
Good.
I always have to apologize. I'm like a Canadian sometimes. I'm always sorry for everything.
Nice,
but. He's not gonna get fired. We know that. If he was gonna get fired, he would have already been gone.
Well, maybe not in the middle of the season, though.
No, because the owners will never. He's an owners commissioner. They like what he does. He'll stay. As long as they make money, as long as they keep making more money every season, he'll stay. But in the grand scheme of things, people will look at Goodell and say, like with Gary Bettman, for instance, everybody thinks Gary Bettman's an asshole, and for reasons for all the right reasons too. Multiple lockouts have happened because he's a greedy asshole. That's that. People still look at him that way and say, that guy's a greedy prick. We hate him. Goodell is clueless. He doesn't know what he wants to do. He wants to try to do the right thing, and we can applaud him for trying to do the right thing.
Right.
Nothing wrong with that.
No.
Congratulations, Roger Goodell. You're trying to do the right thing. But guess what? You fell on your face about 37 different times. You look like a fool doing it, and we're never going to forget this.
No, this season has been horrible when it comes to Roger Goodell. The bad part is people, when they look back in many, many years and they talk about Roger Goodell, they'll say, oh, he did this, but
there's always a but.
They had that season where the NFL kind of lost his mind and everything went haywire, and Roger Goodell showed that he was clueless about a lot of stuff.
How can the executive vice president of the National Football League, Troy Vincent, on a phone call tell Adrian Peterson, yeah, you're not going to get suspended again under the new policy, you're grandfathered in, then he gets suspended under the new policy?
Right. Yeah, it's all...
The reason the National Football League will not allow an independent arbitrator to take care of these cases such as this is because if there was an independent arbitrator who had no feeling for either side, Adrian Peterson would be playing for the Minnesota Vikings.
Right now.
Barring that he would not have been cut, which he probably is going to get cut at some point in time soon.
Well, if he goes back next year, he's going to make about $13 million.
He's not going to play for the Vikings next year.
It's very possible he's not.
The Vikings, and we'll get to that in a second. Let me finish this thought really quick. An independent arbitrator would have cleared him and let him play.
Absolutely.
The guy the NFL hired, who used to work for the NFL but on their payroll for years, won't do it. He's not letting it happen.
Right.
But as we spoke about before, I do think Adrian Peterson's a free agent. I think it's April 15th was the date. I didn't want to put April 15th, 2015, but I'm pretty sure that's the date.
Yes.
He'll get reinstated. He'll go make an about face, go do community service, make the NFL happy because apparently that's what they want. And then he will be reinstated. I keep repeating myself, damn it. But what I think is going to happen, I think the Vikings are going to cut him because I think a lot of this shuffling of the feet right now is because the National Football League doesn't know what they want to do, and the Minnesota Vikings don't know what they want to do.
Right.
If the Vikings knew we want him back, reinstate him, they would get him back.
Yes.
But they know once he's reinstated, it's a PR nightmare for him.
Well, only for a certain amount of time. This is going to go away. I mean...
And how long until Roger Goodell makes this into a Roger Goodell success story like Michael Vick?
Well,
Goodell was the first person to all over Michael Vick and tell everybody how terrible of a person he was. Then when Michael Vick got reinstated, who was the first person in line to make him a success story?
Yeah, right.
Roger Goodell.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, in that aspect, he was kind of smart. He took a really bad situation. He tried to turn it around. I get it. Michael Vick got caught killing dogs. That's just not right. Can't do that.
And I know, again, I know people listening, you'll probably tell me on Twitter or our Facebook page, it's like comparing apples to oranges. I understand that, but these cases are few and far between. So we gotta grasp at the straws and try to make some sense of this, because to myself and Perez, two pretty educated sports fans, if I may say so myself, Perez, we kind of know a thing or two,
right,
and we're baffled by this.
Right.
It makes no, like when I can text you, Perez, and I texted you when it happened, and I said, Peterson got let off, we're going to talk about this, and you said to me, I don't know what the hell's going on,
right?
Essentially, and I'm like, me neither. Yeah, this makes no sense.
It's all crazy. The whole situation is just stupid, and it makes Roger Goodell look even worse.
Absolutely,
if that's even possible at this point. I mean, he already looks like a bumbling idiot. So
but before we move on, I want to close it with a famous comedian. What a famous comedian was saying in his later years at one of his comedy specials. Like George Carlin famously said, Perez, it's all bullshit and is bad for you.
Yes, right.
Moving on to some more bullshit, if you will.
Well, you don't want to talk about Adrian Peterson's possible retirement?
Ooh, I forgot about that. It's written down in my book.
I mean,
before we move on...
Yes, let's not move on quite yet.
Adrian Peterson wants to... This is why, Perez, you're the best in the business. This is why you're here.
He's talking about quitting and possibly going for the Olympics.
He's trying to play his hand, I think. He's trying to bluff.
Probably.
He wants to play football.
I really don't... Yeah, he's fast. He's really fast. But is he an Olympic quality sprinter? We don't really know. Especially when you're talking about 200, 400.
What he said reminds me of what CM Punk said recently when he joined the UFC.
Right.
Punk said, and if you didn't pay attention, I'll pretty much just wrap it up for you. He said flat out, "This is something I've always wanted to do, and I could not live with the regret in 10 or 15 years when I can't do it that I never tried it." That's what it sounds like with Adrian Peterson. Adrian Peterson said, "It's always intrigued me."
Right.
Why not give it a shot?
Right. Jose Canseco this week said that he could beat CM Punk in the UFC.
I'm sure Punk... You know what the best part about this, and this is something I would love to talk about with John.
Canseco said that.
Well, maybe this is... when I mentioned in I'm just going to say this right now. In the next segment, we mentioned to John, we'll bring some ideas to the end of the year podcast. Maybe that's one, because I want to get his thoughts on that. So, John, if you're listening, you're going to be listening. I know that because you listen. You're a very good coworker. You listen to the podcast, give us great feedback. Do not talk about CM Punk on your podcast until Perez and myself are around, because I'm going to grill you on this. But here's the deal. The thing about it is, I feel like in professional wrestling, Punk was very good at being playing coy. Very good at being because obviously wrestling, we all know storylines and predetermined shit and everything. We all know that. So don't tell me wrestling's fake, because I'll show you wrestling's fake, and I'll invite all my wrestling buddies that I know that are family over to beat the ever-loving piss out of you as we say wrestling's fake and you're bleeding out of your face. But anyways, Punk is very good at playing coy.
Yes.
So he's sitting around talking to people on Fox Sports 1 going, I don't even have a blue belt. Or maybe I'm a black belt. I don't know. Maybe I'm a white belt. I'm not sure. Who knows what I am? I've been training with the Gracie family for a long time. I don't know who my opponent's going to be. How much am I going to weigh? Beats me. Who am I going to train with? I don't know.
If he's been training with the Gracies and the UFC was like, you're good enough to sign, he's got skills.
There's a reason why. I mean, Dana White didn't do this just for a PR stunt.
Right.
And the same thing with Adrian Peterson. I don't think it's a PR stunt. If he wants to the Olympics.
If Brock goes back, also
Brock is going back.
That's huge.
Brock's going
especially
back.
If he's healthy.
Brock's going back.
He'll knock people out again.
I think we should get a UFC guy in here sometime and talk some UFC. What do you think?
I'm down with that.
Sounds good to me. We'll get some. We'll get some UFC guys on here. But I want to kind of I'm tying them together. Because CM Punk was literally not just wrestling terms or wrestling storylines. He was. When he was the champion, he was the best in the world at what he did. Well, I don't want to copy Chris Jericho, but Punk was the best in the world. And Peterson, one of the best runners in the National Football League.
Right.
If he wants to leave and go try to the Olympics, even if it doesn't work, you got to give the guy some credit for it.
Yeah, I'll give him some credit, but I don't think he's as fast as Usain Bolt. I mean, Usain Bolt's ridiculously, stupidly
Absolutely.
fast.
But who knows?
But let's go the opposite direction real quick.
Okay.
Little conspiracy theory that we've talked about before. He did say he'd be interested in, he's a big real estate guy, and he'd be interested in concentrating on his real estate business in Texas.
Perez, I'm telling you what, if Adrian Peterson plays the National Football League next year and does not play for the Dallas Cowboys, I would consider that a very massive upset.
Well, could you imagine?
No one's going to want to put hands on him.
Oh, dude. Could you imagine AP and DeMarco Murray in the same backfield?
DeMarco Murray's not going to be there.
He might be.
You know why? They're running him into the ground.
Well,
you know why?
People are saying that, but he's young. He's got strong legs.
Look at the statistics.
I don't care about the statistics.
Okay, then when you signed DeMarco Murray to a long-term contract and he doesn't rush for more than 1,200 yards in the contract because he ran that 1 year stupid amount of times, caught the ball stupid amount of times, and got all these yards, and then
which is all the more reason to bring AP in.
No,
you put those two in the same backfield, it's going to be disgusting.
You might be able to outpunt the market, if you will, if you push DeMarco Murray into the ground, because that's what they're doing. They're getting as much as they can out of him now before he walks. I mean, he might just go for the money grab. Dallas will say, "We'll give you a couple years at $15 million or something," and then he says, "No, I'm going to go play for the Raiders because they're going to give me $75 million." I
got no problem with him going to the Raiders.
I'm just throwing a team out there
to the Philadelphia Eagles or to like the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm cool.
Two teams with good running backs. I think they're fine, but I think Peterson ends up in Dallas because, as we've seen this year with Tony Romo, if you give Romo a good running back, he can be very. I mean, he's not an elite quarterback by any stretch of the imagination, but Tony Romo is a very good, if not great, quarterback.
Yeah,
and if you give him a good running back or even a great running back, I mean, with DeMarco Murray, it takes all more pressure off of him.
Absolutely.
And I think Jerry Jones is finally figuring that out, that you can't. It doesn't matter if you got Jason Witten and Des Bryant and whoever else. I mean, even when they had like Miles Austin, you've got a lot of weapons, but if you don't have a run game, they're going to know you're throwing the ball, and you're not going to be as effective.
No. You put those two, it could be interesting next year.
Yeah, I mean, we'll talk about that more once AP gets reinstated. We've got a lot of time for that. But speaking of football news now, as I mentioned earlier, the bullshit that we were going to speak about.
Are we talking about Johnny Football?
A young John Football will make his first ever National Football League start in, what week is it? Week 15.
Yes.
Week 15 of the National Football League. Johnny Manziel, Johnny Football, will make his first start against the Cincinnati Bengals in Cleveland. What are you expecting to see this weekend with Johnny Football?
Crap.
A lot of crap?
Yes. The stars have aligned. The planets have all lined up in a row. And the football universe has come together.
Was the Earth sitting at a 37.5 degree angle?
Yes.
Like Scott Steiner once said?
Right. It's now Johnny Football time. Let Cleveland fans rejoice. You got LeBron James playing for your basketball team. He's a god. You got Johnny Football playing for your football team. Everyone thinks he's a god.
Well, here's what I think. Because you just got all hyped up there for a second. That was crazy. You're a good hype man. But I'm going to go out and buy a Johnny Manziel football jersey after that one.
Dude, I'm going to go buy all types of Johnny Manziel products.
Here's the deal.
Mostly toilet paper.
It's a good one. If they build him around a playbook, they'll be fine. They can make Johnny Manziel into a good football quarterback. I keep saying football. It's because Johnny Football. Damn it.
Who are they playing this week?
The Bengals.
Yeah.
If they install a game plan like they did in with Kyle Shanahan, who was with RG3, if they install that playbook, they should be able to be good. But here's the deal. We know in the National Football League, we've watched it long enough, Perez, that gimmicks don't last long.
No. Here's what's going to happen. First drive. First down score. Oh my God, Johnny Football is awesome. Second drive, nothing. 3 and out. Third drive, 3 and out sack. Fourth drive, 3 and out. It's going to be a lot like the Jets v Titans this week. Lots of 3 and outs and nothing happening.
I'll tell you what, man. When I thought about Johnny Football, I thought about the Wildcat offense.
You know, you install the Wildcat offense.
Because I'm not even saying install the Wildcat offense. I'm saying in terms of you have the Wildcat offense. It comes in, it works great because it's a new thing.
Right.
No one knows how to defend it. No one knows what it is. Then the NFL comes around, and then it's useless. It's like Major League Baseball.
Yes.
Player comes in, he's good. The league makes the adjustment to you, and then we find out how good of a superstar you are if you can make the adjustment to that adjustment.
Exactly. That's what happened with Colin Kaepernick.
Johnny Manziel may be good out of the gate. I don't buy the hype until he struggles for the first time.
No, it's going to be interesting. Cleveland fans are going to rejoice, and then just like everything else, Cleveland fans are going to be pissed,
disappointed.
Yes. So, whoop de frickin' do. That's what I got to say about that.
Well, I'm going to tell you what. Right here, I want to mark this down. Remember, 57 minutes for me, please. Because in this spot, I'm going to put in my favorite Cleveland Browns fan clip of all time from YouTube.
Okay.
My favorite clip ever. I got to find a pen. I got a pen over here somewhere. I got to write this down because, it's right in front of me. I think, like I said, and the same thing with Colin Kaepernick, is that he struggles now. So next season we'll find. Next season we're going to find out who Colin Kaepernick really is. Because he was good, then they adjusted. Now he's not so good. Then we'll find out.
He's still good, but he's not as good as he was. He's not as effective as he was. And he has height. He has size over Johnny. He's quicker than Johnny. So if they adjusted and they're able to stop Colin Kaepernick more now, Johnny Football doesn't have a chance. You better fire like half your hype crew, because you're not going to be able to afford to pay for everyone over the next couple of seasons.
That's our thoughts on Johnny Manziel, Johnny Football, making his National Football League debut this week, Week 15.
You know what? I hope Johnny Football hears this. I really do. I hope he hears it. I hope someone sends him the link. I hope they say, listen to starting minute 40 into the podcast when they start talking about you.
Listen to the whole thing.
Listen to the whole thing. You should.
Maybe he likes Britney Spears.
Possibly. But if he hears this, what I have to say is I would have no issues with him if he would just grow the freak up.
That's all.
Grow up.
Yeah, exactly. He could be a big thing for the city of Cleveland.
You think you look cool, you look like a bloody idiot.
Yeah.
You look like a spoiled little brat who needs to get his head knocked off. So that's my rant on Johnny Manziel. Grow up. You're not as good as you think you are. Stop throwing up the money sign. If I was able to play football, I'd go up the middle and bury you.
With that being said, I'm going to play a clip from my favorite Cleveland Browns fan in the history of Cleveland Browns YouTube videos. And we will be back after the Cleveland Browns fan, after these commercial breaks, with John Cimino of Get Ready America to talk our Week 15 Pick'ems, sponsored by FanDuel, right after these commercial breaks.
Do you enjoy listening to Better Live Than Dead, but you're not always by your laptop to hear it on GearNetwork.com? Not to worry, we've got you covered. Better Live Than Dead and all other Gear Network podcasts can now be heard on iHeartRadio, iTunes, in the Zune Marketplace, on SoundCloud, Spreaker, Stitcher Radio, and on TuneIn Radio. So make sure you get one of the aforementioned apps to stay up to date with the latest Gear Network podcasts.
A successful product does not become a successful product on its own. Look at the Gear Radio Network, for example. We're a prime example. We had a lot of help getting here, and we can help you get where you want to go to. Advertising rates are very low to start off here on the Gear Radio Network. Visit us at gearnetwork.com. Click on the contact link to send us an email, and we can work out the details. Again, advertise your product across all of the forums at a low, low rate here on the Gear Radio Network.
We are back here on the Better Live Than Dead podcast, and as you may notice, the sound quality is a little weird, but, excuse me, we tried to get John through Uber conference on the computer, and it did not work, so we go to plan B, which is my cell phone, and Perez and I are now sitting kind of huddled.
Very close.
Very, very close. I'm not sure if you can hear him. We're going to pass the phone back and forth, but I should say joining me now on the line, taking a quick break from his busy life, the host of Get Ready America and the executive producer of the Better Live Than Dead podcast, owner of the Gear Radio Network, Mr. John Cimino. John, how are you doing today?
Oh, I'm splendid, spectacular. How are you?
I'm wonderful. Thank you for asking.
You sound a little sarcastic there, Jay.
Yeah, well, people get in the way of things, and I'm sitting. Of course, now we get up and running here, but I've been sitting in the breaking down the fourth wall. I'm sitting in the break room of the 9 to 5. I'm sitting there for about a half an hour playing video games on my phone, and then I'm about to get to do this conference, and then some freaking person from the other building who has no business being up here comes up here to use the goddamn vending machine. So I had to get up and walk away.
Stupid people piss me off, right?
Yes, indeed.
Well, hey, we want to talk to you about these picks we got going on this week. First off, going into this week, Perez still leads 99-48. John, you and myself are 97-50, 2 games back. But quick teaser: Perez picked the St. Louis Rams for Thursday Night Football, so we are now a game back. We both picked the Arizona Cardinals, who somewhat improbably won the game because they lost another quarterback to a knee injury. This time it's only a week-to-week injury, but that'll be a conversation for a different time because who knows if the Arizona Cardinals can keep up their streak of lucky football with less than good quarterbacking. But what I wanted to ask you about today, since we have you on the air, we'll do this a little differently. Perez and myself picked the New York Jets, and you picked the Tennessee Titans.
Mm-hmm.
And we both want to know why.
You want to know why?
Yeah.
You both want to know why? Perez, you want to know why too?
Well, I'm kind of surprised you picked against your team.
Okay. Well, you want to know why? I'll tell you why. Get ready to press F7 because the Jets. That's why. That's the reason I picked them.
Okay.
You are an angry man.
I'm a very angry man. Listen, I have picked the Jets pretty much every week, except for the week that they played good teams. And I've been royally disappointed. As far as the New York Jets are concerned, it would benefit them more to not show up because then it gets them in the Marcus Mariota sweepstakes. Of course, knowing that organization, they'll probably draft Jameis Winston and have themselves another freaking circus for another 4 years. But it would benefit the Jets more long-term, big picture, to just kind of play some quote-unquote, as Rex Ryan would say, vanilla football. Neither team have anything to play for. It's a game that the league could really care less about, and by virtue, I can care less about either. Plus, I'm pissed at the Jets, so f*** them.
Fair enough, man.
Matter of fact, I am spoiling it right now. I am not picking the Jets for the rest of the season. They will run the table in the opposite direction as far as I'm concerned. I am picking against them every single game from here on out.
All right.
Until next season.
Just love it's your team.
Sounds
Yes,
like an
I am.
ex-girlfriend type of deal, It's like a chick leaves you and you're like, nah, I'm going to burn all her clothes and all her pictures and she can just get the fuck out of here.
Well, I'm just sitting here, I'm watching this, and I can't justify it anymore. I cannot justify what's going on with that organization. It is just absolute asinine the way that it's being run. And it's from the top all the way to the bottom. And I think we're all universally in agreement that Rex Ryan, we like Rex Ryan. The media likes Rex Ryan. Everybody likes Rex Ryan. He's got that likable personality. And I feel he's gotten hosed, especially the past couple seasons, but definitely this year. When, your general manager, who is good at numbers, but has no football prowess, does not address the needs of the position, especially in secondary. I think I might have touched up on this earlier in the season, but Antonio Cromartie wanted to come back. He openly said, I want to come back to New York and play for the Jets. And what the Jets do? They let him go to Arizona. Darrelle Revis, they had a chance to bring Darrelle Revis back. They didn't want to pay him. I don't know if it was just a, pride thing or whatever, but Darrelle Revis was like, I want to go back. And they didn't bring him back because they didn't want to pay him. Now he's playing for the Patriots, who have lost all of 3 games this season. So, well, look, Revis Island will be in the playoffs. The Jets will not. Rex will be without a job. Who knows what's going to happen with Itzik? That team is just a disaster. I don't know how they went from having a championship formula, so to speak, in the first 2 years of Rex Ryan's tenure to just being one of the worst teams I've ever laid my eyes on.
Well, to start it off, they had a good defense, and they were able to hide their offensive problems, but then once the defense got old and overrun, they never addressed the offense, so that kind of they just regressed badly. But, mean, you got a point there.
Sanchez. Take a look at Mark Sanchez, for example. They didn't have any. It wasn't an offensive-minded team. Sanchez is an offensive-minded person. So Mark Sanchez could not develop the way he's developing now in Philadelphia. He's doing great in an offensive scheme. I don't want to say he's an elite quarterback because he's not, but in the same, had he had a scheme like that in New York to develop and master, it'd be a completely different ballgame here.
Exactly. Wait, to get you off the Jets talk, to get you in a little bit better of a mood. Everything else this week we agreed upon. I know Perez picked Tampa Bay. We picked Carolina, John. But everything else is unanimous. Looks like another good slate of another week of good games.
Really?
And
we all picked the same except for those?
Yep.
Jesus Christ, that's crazy.
Things aren't opening up, that's for sure. I mean, at this rate, we may have to do the playoff pick'em that we talked about a little on the podcast before. But then again, who knows? We'll find out. But
I don't know. All I know is that Perez was running his mouth last week about how he's finally in the running. He's finally ahead of everybody, and he's going to win, and he's going to take it. And much like the New York Jets, who ran their mouth, we see what happens. They end up bottoming out. And I'm calling my shot. Perez is bottoming out this season. One of us is going to take it, either me or you, Ryan. Not Perez.
Now listen. Mm-hmm. The only reason I ran my mouth a little bit was because...
hold on. Ryan, I think for this particular part, I will send you the sad violin music that I played at Get Ready America in the beginning for this part. So go ahead, Perez.
No sad violin music, maybe for you guys. First couple of weeks, I was like 5-6 picks behind you guys, and then I showed why I'm going to win, and I took the lead. I'm on point, and you guys have fallen off. So no sad violin music. You guys had a chance to beat me. You guys have blown it.
And in 3 weeks, when you are down behind us, I will laugh hysterically and play the sad violin music for you on Get Ready America.
All right, well, just make sure you tune it up.
By the way, I played it on myself. Which, by the way, I played it on myself earlier in the week because of my damn fantasy football woes in one of my leagues.
Oh.
You're not one to talk. You're not one to talk in that league, Lewis. I think maybe you were competitive. I think you were competitive for all of a half a week.
Yeah, well, my fantasy football team is garbage. I'm not talking any trash about that.
It's it could be Jason.
That's true.
I want to tell you, good luck this week in the Wolfensheimer Football League. I know I'm going to need good luck. I know you'll probably need it too, because whatever happens, it's going to be a tough week. It's going to be very tight football games. But the one game I'm looking forward to in the National Football League has to be, just putting this out there, just going to be Dallas and Philly, because looking at all the projections, whoever wins this game makes the playoffs. Whoever doesn't is going home with a really good record. So we all have Dallas, but I could see the game going either way. So that'll be a fun game to watch. But besides that, I mean, this week is just full of whatever, football. Johnny Manziel, I don't really give a damn about him. We talked about him last segment, so.
You know what?
Perez, you have to. John, 1 second. Perez, you have to understand. Yes. When we record segments out of place, this one goes after the Johnny Manziel segment, breaking the fourth wall here. So we've already talked about him, Perez.
Yes, my bad.
Yes, I heard that you guys already spoke about him. All right, I don't know nothing, man. What do you want from me?
Well, I got enough from you, man. It's been over 10 minutes of a good conversation here. I appreciate you taking the time out of your 9 to 5. And
hey, thanks for letting me vent on the New York Jets.
Dude, that's what
I didn't get to do that on my podcast. I got sick of doing it after the first couple of weeks. I had a specific segment where I would vent about the New York Jets, and then I found out I was doing it so much that I got sick of it. And now it's just pretty much Dawn and I making fun of each other.
And Dawn has gotten a lot better on the podcast in terms of challenging you. So I feel like if you decided to complain about the Jets, she would just sit there for the entire segment and make fun of you.
Pretty much. That's pretty much how it would go.
It makes for good podcasting.
Well, as Perez can tell you, being that we bowl together and hang out together all the time, that's pretty much how it goes anyways. So, podcasts or not.
we look forward to. We talked about it a little earlier on the podcast, as you'll hear when the podcast goes up.
I already heard.
You did. We both look forward to joining you for the end of the year Get Ready America Gear Network special podcast.
Yes, indeed. Next week will be the last week of Get Ready America for the year. We'll probably do a best of the year the week after, which is Christmas week, and then leading into the new year, we'll somewhere between Christmas and New Year's, we'll do the grand finale for the year. So, and then we'll resume Get Ready America as normal in the first week of the year. But yeah. It's gonna be a good time. I don't know exactly what we'll talk about. It's just gonna be us shooting the breeze.
I don't think we need to plan it. I don't think if you want to bring a few things in, I probably will too. But I think a lot of it should just be predicated on sitting down and talking, and whatever happens because we've got all the time in the world to talk.
Indeed. And then post show, Perez, you got the sticks, man?
No, I got sticks.
All right.
I got cigars.
All right. I'll get the beer. We'll have some fun.
Sounds like a good plan, my friend. But hey,
all right,
for those listening,
enjoy the rest of the podcast.
Thank you. For those listening, that's been John Cimino, the host of Get Ready America and the JC Money Show Uncensored over on the other half of Gear Radio Network. Check him out weekly. And there he goes. He couldn't even give us a second to finish pumping him, but Rick Astley will play us on some break. Very fitting for John. We'll be back right after this.
Gear Network listeners, how's your golf game doing? On a scale from 1 to Tiger Woods, are you Charles Barkley? Not to worry, our friends at Pure Point Golf can help you. Pure Point Golf is not the typical way that you may think of golf instruction. They are not your average pro at a local neighborhood range or course. Pure Point is more than that. They have developed an innovative system of golf instruction that will change your game. Pure Point's system has worked for more than 55,000 golfers all over the world, and they know that it will work for you too. With their money-back guarantee, you have nothing to lose by giving it a try. If you're ready to up your golf game, visit GearNetwork.com and scroll over to the banner Support the Shows and click on Friends of Gear to find the banner for Pure Point Golf. Remember, there is a money-back guarantee, and any purchase that you make through Gear Network's link helps support the shows, keeps the cost of production down, and keeps this and many other of our podcasts free. Head over to GearNetwork.com and help us help out your golf game.
Jingle bell, jingle bell, jingle bell rock. Jingle bells swing and jingle bells ring. Snowing and blowing up bushels of fun. Now the jingle hop has begun. Jingle bell, jingle bell, jingle bell.
Welcome back,
Welcome back,
peoples, as Perez likes to say,
peoples.
to the Better Live Than Dead podcast, episode number 19. Good audio quality podcast, finally. I mean, struggled the past couple weeks yelling at each other, but today we've got microphones to talk into, and I feel like this is a lot more legit than what we were doing before.
It started off legit, and then it got kind of not legit. Now it's back to being legit.
Well, yeah, because I tried to learn a lot with like microphones and soundboards and stuff, and
Right.
I'm not a producer. Contrary to the credits at the end of the podcast, I'm not a producer.
I understand.
No idea what I'm doing. These snowball microphones that you can get over on Amazon.com through Gear Radio Network to help support the podcast and keep things cheap, free, and make us happy, make you happy. Microphones are real good, real cheap. They're not cheaply made. They're very good material, good microphones.
But they're affordable.
They're affordable.
That's what you mean.
That's the word I'm looking for.
Yes.
Thank you, Perez.
No problem. That's what we're here for.
Absolutely. And we've got 2 microphones now. We're here live, Better Live Than Dead in the Wolf Den Studios. And I want to say thank you this week to, first off, Perez for being here.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you.
Not a
I
problem.
got to look into getting some more of these snowball microphones so I can finally get Beyond the Smoke going. So we can,
It's quite possible, man.
portable.
Now that, and the thing is that myself and John are going back and forth weekly, trying to figure new things out and ways to make the podcast better. Got a few things to mess around with this week to try to make this thing sound even better than it already does. Nothing with us. I mean,
Right.
everything behind the scenes. So we're getting there.
Yes.
I mean, we're learning on the fly. We've got episode 20 next week, which is
kind of cool.
it's amazing.
Crazy.
I mean, it's only 20, but that's a lot of
It
podcasts
is.
for us at least. I mean, that's over 20 hours of content of me and you just sitting here talking.
And people listening.
And people
That's
listening.
the best part.
And Canada listens too. Thank you, Canada.
Thanks, Canadians.
John told me that on the
Hey.
Get Ready America. That's exactly what I said. He said, "Say hello to the Canadians." I said, "Hello, Canada."
Hello.
But thank you to John Cimino for joining us first off in the most recent segment to talk football this week and talk the New York Jets. I know John feels very highly about them, and if we can give him a forum to rant about the Jets, it's fine with me because
he's not real happy with his team,
and I wouldn't be either. You know,
me neither.
I'm pissed about the Bills because they should be better than they are, but you know what? They're going to finish 8-8 this season. They should finish 8-8, and that's huge.
Yes. Who do you guys play again this week?
They play the Packers, and they play Oakland, and they play New England. So they're going to lose 2. They're going to go 1-2 most likely.
I feel bad for y'all.
They'll finish 8-8. They're 7-6.
Oh yeah, they'll beat Oakland. That sounded and looked like you hurt when you just moved your foot.
I just hit my ankle into the futon. That felt wonderful.
You okay over there, buddy?
Yes.
You should throw up the money sign.
I was gonna curse, but I've already cursed. I've hit my curse limit for the week.
So instead of cursing every week, just throw up the money sign.
Yeah, just
and like when you do that, I'll tell people he's throwing up the money sign, which means he wants to curse.
Exactly. Or we'll just make up noises. We'll just throw like goat noises in every time I swear.
There we go.
That's how we'll make the podcast better. We'll just make things weird. Like I said last week, you got to keep it weird here in the podcast world. But thank you to John.
As we wrap it up. So is that what we're going to do? Story time with Perez?
I think so.
New segment?
Yeah, I think we'll do that. We'll find a way to fit it in the podcast wherever we have to. Even if we start off the episode with a story, because I know the intro talk we have every week, but we might be able to work the intro talk out. Right. We might be able to just sit down and start the podcast, but we'll change it up. We'll have some fun with it.
And we should throw this out to the listeners too. Like you should tweet me or Ryan.
Correct.
And
at MRLG Perez and at a Wolf SHC Wolf with an E.
Exactly. Tweet us some stories you want to hear about because I've lived a very interesting life. I probably have a story related to a lot of situations.
Yeah.
So,
and I'd love to hear because I learn more and more about Perez. I mean, one week I was sitting here and I said to Perez, "I'm not sure if you like metal, but I'm going to use this band." He goes, "Bro, I grew up on metal," and I'm like, "What?"
I was in a metal band.
I was like, "What?"
Yeah.
The more you know about Perez, it's crazy because you think he's this mean guy, and then you learn about him, and you're like, "Well, wait, this is interesting," and then something else, and you can peel back another layer and another layer and another layer, and
yeah, I look intimidating, so people think I'm intimidating, but I can be intimidating, but I'm a nice guy.
Well, you can be intimidating if you need to be. I mean, you need to get the job done and scare some people away, and crack some skulls if you have to, but. As I was saying, thank you to John, the newly minted executive producer of the Better Live Than Dead podcast. Thank you to Dawn Cimino, the other executive producer of the Better Live Than Dead podcast. Maybe John can make us...
Dawn.
Hi, Dawn. Maybe John can make us executive producers of his podcast.
There we go. That'd be fun.
Another name to add to my growing resume. I'm just an executive producer of everything. Although, like I said, do not listen to this. I don't know how to produce very well, but we're working on it. Learning on the fly. It's what podcasting is all about. Thank you. Yeah, absolutely. Having a lot of fun. I mean, I've not had this much fun in a long time. Podcasting is what I look forward to.
You need to get a life, bro.
Dude, I'll tell you what. After working at a hotel all week and being bored out of my goddamn mind, the first thing I look forward to is sitting down on Saturday morning and just ranting about sports.
Oh, no, this is absolutely fun. I enjoy it very much.
I want to say thank you to all the listeners out there, wherever you may be. Wherever you may be listening to us on, whether it's your gaming system, your laptop, your cell phone, your tablet, GearNetwork.com, Spreaker.com, wherever it is. Thank you so very much for tuning in. Take time out of your busy schedule.
We appreciate it.
Absolutely. And I think that's it.
Dude, I was in
everything.
Canada not that long ago. Went to a restaurant and they had these fried donuts that were filled with Nutella. It was like the greatest thing.
Dude, I had Nutella a couple last week, and I got really sick because of it.
Really?
Apparently, I might be lactose intolerant, I think.
Oh, it sucks because these fried donuts filled with Nutella was like the greatest thing.
It sounds
like ever.
You hear that noise?
Your arteries hard.
My arteries are getting hard.
Yeah, I'm fat. That doesn't bother me. My arteries are already hardened, so I'm living life and enjoying it.
Hey, if you can enjoy the Nutella fried donut, feel free, my friend.
Greatest thing ever.
And by the way, if you ever see Perez or myself out in public and you want to tell us how awesome the podcast is, please do, because that's really cool. I had a friend of mine I haven't seen. I was telling Perez before the podcast, hadn't seen him in I'd have to say probably 2.5, 3 years almost.
Right.
And he comes up to me, the first thing he says is, "Dude, I love the podcast."
That's awesome.
That's great. It makes me feel great. And I told Perez in his face.
Right, but that's like the right situation to tell you.
Exactly.
Like if you see me out and I'm like at a urinal, don't come up and talk to me.
Exactly.
I've had that happen. It's kind of creepy.
Oh.
Don't do that.
I mean, if I saw you at the urinal, I'd walk up while you're pissing. I'd try to hold your hand just to see what you would do.
I'd probably knock you out.
But you would see me and you'd be like, "Oh, you sick fuck!
Right?
Get out of here!" I got one in this week, Perez. I did get one in.
You just said the F word again. You got to go back and bleep that.
I'm a good producer when it comes to bleeping out the F word. That's for sure. I got enough practice, but man, I feel like the past couple weeks our ends have come to a skidding halt. So I think we'll just wrap it up here.
It's like what's his name?
I don't want to stop talking. I just want to keep going. You know, we can't do that though.
That could be like our new ending on Channel 8 after Letterman. There's
Craig
Ferguson.
Craig Ferguson.
He does this thing with his guests where he gives them an option on how to end the interview, and they normally always choose like the awkward silence. So they all kind of sit there like awkwardly. It's really hilarious.
We're just gonna sit here and get quiet, and the music's just gonna cue.
They'll be like, you just get real quiet. They'll be like, for listening.
Exactly. Well, thanks again, everybody, for listening. Thanks for Perez being here. I'm glad to be here. Now we get to go back and edit this bad boy and put it up on the radio. Which I don't know why I said, because by the time you hear this, it'll be edited and already put on the internet. But
right.
We're breaking the fourth wall. Who cares? Have as much fun with it. But tune in to Get Ready America.
Break kayfabe.
Exactly. Break kayfabe each and every single week here on the Live Ed Podcast. Speaking of that, I want to say a continued get well to Julius, who I heard recently is on the mend, getting better each and every day.
Yeah, man. Hope you feel better, bro.
We hope you get better soon. There's a GoFundMe account on the internet. I know the link's out there on multiple outlets. If you've got $5, $10, whatever, donate what you can.
Well, I know they're selling T-shirts for $20. I don't normally plug other things.
Well, yeah, if there's shirts, Tiger Smith is taking care of that. Yeah. Shirts and bracelets. Get a hold of him on Facebook.
The bracelets are $5. The T-shirts are $20. And frankly, you know, it's going towards his medical bills. So I'm cool with that because he needs that.
And it wouldn't be such a big deal. But he just started a job recently, and he didn't hit enough days to get insurance. He got sick at the wrong time. And he's going to need as much help as he can get. So like I said, if you got $5...
Thinking about you, man. Praying for you.
Exactly.
Go buy some free cryptic gear and help, support a good cause.
Get well soon, my friend. And with that, I will say, as always, we are... better alive than dead.
You're not.
We will see you around the bend, my friends, next week.
Listen in.
Same time, same place.
Adios.
Here on the Gear Radio Network.
Gather round, kids. It's story time with Mr. Perez.
The preceding presentation has been brought to you by the Gear Network.